Welcome on Texas football. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by two coaches, Bob Shipley and Bryan Erwin. Both guys have experience at college, high school level, have been at it for a long period of time, both now retired from coaching in personal business. But each and every Tuesday, they join me, and we have lunch with the coach here at On Texas Football. I'm going to start you guys off with a little simple one. I mean, it's really easy. Tell me what you think about this whole quarterback situation at the University of Texas. Quinn Ewers goes 14 of 16 for 185. 14 of 16 is a pretty good day, right? He did that in the first 15 minutes. And then Arch Manning comes in, goes 9 of 12. What is Steve Sarkisian pinching himself a little bit right now over his quarterback problems? Bob or Bryan, who wants to go first?
I've never seen anything like it. I really haven't. You know, we talked a little bit on the winning drive yesterday about, you know, we haven't had two quarterbacks with that much attention since Sims and Applewhite. You know, but Sims and Applewhite, neither one are going to beat out these guys. You know, so I'm like you. We're all kind of pinching ourselves. You know. When have we ever had a backup that could come in and do this so well? And it's a great problem to have, and it's they seem to be both very mature about it, humble, and are handling well. I don't know, Bryan, what do you think about it?
Yeah, it's kind of a tough subject, to talk about, honestly, for me, because we know Quinn's our guy. Quinn's the quarterback. Quinn's the one that's going to lead the football team. He's got the experience. He's seen the bullets fly at this level, and we're hoping nothing but best for him, get him healthy, and him have just a stellar season and lead us to a championship. But we also know, man, we got Arch Manning, and we've seen in spring ball. I've seen spring ball. I love his quick release. I love his athleticism. Bobby and I've been talking about that for 2 years. I love the way he can run. And then all of a sudden he takes off the other night and he's clocked at 21 miles an hour and he goes 65 yards and. A bunch of my buddies were like, wow, what? I said, y'all don't even understand. He's not Peyton or Eli. This guy's an athlete, and he can throw it. He's got such an efficient, quick release, much more quick and efficient than Quinn, in my opinion. Just the way he throws, his mechanics, to where the ball sits on the platform and how fast it gets out. But hey, it's a great problem to have. And we're just so blessed that we've got Arch Manning as our number 2 quarterback, and but we want Quinn back.
And I'll say this too, Bobby. I think we all know that he's going to need a little time. The question is he going to miss one game? Is he going to miss 2 games? Mm-hmm. So I think you take the situation that you had and you just move down the line. Now you got the same thing with Arch. I see Arch playing maybe a couple of series into the third quarter, and then you bring Trey in, So, yeah, and you got to get Trey ready because who knows what the rest of the season is how it's going to unfold. You got to get Trey some meaningful snaps now, just like you had to get Arch some meaningful snaps,
Yeah.
And so you just continue. I wouldn't play Jaden Blue this week. There's just no sense in it.
Well, that's interesting that y'all both are talking about this, about getting other guys ready, et cetera. The question I have is Quinn. Say Quinn is 90 to 95% against Mississippi, not this week, but come Mississippi State. And you want Quinn being the guy against Oklahoma if you think he's going to be 100%. Don't you want Quinn to take snaps at least against Mississippi State? Even if he doesn't, because if he's going to go into Oklahoma, you don't want him going in raw into Oklahoma. Even though he's done it before and things turned out okay. I think it was 49-0 when it happened, right? Mm-hmm. But my point being, wouldn't you rather your starting quarterback come OU have had at least the game before been in there playing in a little action? I mean, that's a question that I have. And where do y'all see that maybe? I mean,
yes, I think so. We definitely want to get him back prior to going into Oklahoma. There's no doubt. That's a great point, Bobby. We would like for him to play at least against Mississippi State. The thing about Quinn's injury is so problematic is it's so deep internal tissue. You know, we're talking about microfibers probably down there. This oblique, this abdominal strain that, you know, you never know when it might pop back up again. Even if he gets it 95% healthy, he could tweak it again pretty easy. We've all had some form or fashion of this injury, and they can be problematic. So, but he's young. Maybe there's a chance he can fully heal from this in a couple of weeks. But if he can get to 95%, I agree with you. He needs to play against Mississippi State.
Okay, I take the other. I take the opposite opinion. I think in my personal opinion, which means nothing, the most important thing is having Arch healthy for Oklahoma. Not so much knocking off the rust. It's making sure he's healthy. That's why I would sit him Mississippi State. Of course, that's just assuming that he could possibly be ready by Mississippi State. But that's just me. I'm not worried. I also think, you know, for the Heisman talk, you missed 2 games. What's going to come down to is Quinn winning the big games. He's already won the big game, number 1, Michigan. If he can come in against OU, beat Georgia, beat Kentucky, beat Florida, beat Texas A&M, those are some big wins, you know. So I still think he is, considering that he doesn't have any more setbacks, I still think he's in a good position Heisman-wise if he misses 2 games. Certainly missing 1 game is not going to hurt him.
You meant, I think you said Arch,
no,
100% for Oklahoma. You meant Quinn.
No, I meant Quinn. No, I meant Quinn. Yeah,
I get Quinn. It. Hey,
no,
look.
Sorry. Quinn is the guy. That's what happens when you get old, Bob. You get in your 60s like Bryan and I. You know, you'll be there.
Hey, but I'm in his 60s.
Whoa. I'm Bobby's age.
Oh, you guys are young pups.
Hey, I've got to ask y'all next. Couple of things that we were talking about in the production meeting for this. The talent of a couple of freshmen is just kind of ridiculous. We were sitting back thinking about it, and I've said this. We have 2 freshmen right now that are as talented at their position, possibly as anybody that's ever played those positions at Texas. I mean, literally, in Brian Wingo and Colin Simmons. I'm not saying they're going to end up being as good as Roy Williams right now. You can't say that. Can't say Colin Simmons is going to be as good as Brian Arakpo.
Yeah.
But they are as talented. As
I was watching the game the other night with a buddy of mine. He's actually an Aggie. And, you know, Colin Simmons will make a play. I'm like, he's a freshman. That's a kid from Duncanville. You know, he's a freshman. So I'm trying to educate this Aggie on some of our guys. And I'm fully aware that he probably knows exactly who they are, but I was just reminding him. And then you know, Wingo takes off. Wingo has a big explosive play. Oh, there's another freshman right there. His name's Ryan Wingo. He's from Missouri, if you didn't know, by the way. And then all of a sudden, Jarrett Gibson hits one up, and then, he's a freshman also. You know, I'm just wearing him out. You know, we got all these great players, and here are these 2 or 3 of them are freshmen just showing out.
Bob, what did you think of Simmons or Wingo? I mean, we talked about Wingo and the idea that every time he touches the ball, big things happen.
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty impressive.
I think Rod Babers said yesterday on our winning drive that all but 1 touch has been explosive plays for Ryan Wingo. That's incredible. That's incredible. He is such an explosive player, and I think I've said that since training camp. I mean, I got to see him practice one time, and everything I read about him, what I've seen, he's just the thing that I like about both of these guys is the things I hear about them being humble and hungry, you know, and having elite players around them that show them how it's done. You know, having great talent's one thing. Knowing how to turn that motor on and compete at a level against the people that you have to play in FBS. I'm with you. I don't remember 2 freshmen being more dominant still early in the season as a freshman at their position than those 2 guys. Colin Simmons has to slow down to make a sack because he's going so fast around the tackle. Yeah. In fact, sometimes he overruns it. He's going so dang fast, the quarterback, he just overruns him because He can't slow down that fast.
It's a little bit similar to Anthony Hill last year. I thought Anthony Hill had a tremendous freshman year, and he's a 5-star, just freak athlete. I remember watching him against Alabama when they lined him up at defensive end. He's rushing the passer and gets a sack and creating that edge and just making things happen. So, man, it's nice to have these young guys like this. But Anthony Hills, Colin Simmons, Wingos, it's nice.
Let me ask y'all. I want to say thank you to our sponsor real quick, Laura Baker. And I'm going to ask y'all about the Texas run game and the Texas run defense and get y'all's take on that, because I think there are a couple of different points that I want to ask y'all about. Our sponsor for the Lunch with the Coach is Laura Baker over at Keller Williams. Thank you, Laura, for your sponsorship of Lunch with the Coach. Reach out to Laura if you're thinking about moving to, from, or within the Austin area, Georgetown, Pflugerville, Lake Travis, anywhere and everywhere around Austin, or you want a second home, reach out to Laura. 512-784-0505. That's 512-784-0505, or Laura at AndyAllenTeam.com. That's Laura at AndyAllenTeam.com. All right, guys, I want to talk next about the Texas run game. The question I had for you first on the Texas offensive side of the ball, Jarrett Gibson leads the team in rushes with 13 on Saturday. Okay. He's a true freshman. He clearly is going to be that bigger back that they try to close games out with if they've got a lead, right? What and Rod talked about this on Sunday with me. Are they using the Isaiah Bond and Matthew Golden kind of as an extension of the run game on the outside right now, in y'all's opinion? Because it seems like they're trying to find Sark's trying to find and manufacture ways to run the ball effectively. He knows it's not Jaden Blue and Trey Wisener up the middle on inside zones. Are y'all getting that feeling, and Sark's kind of feeling out different people for that role, or what are y'all's thoughts on the Texas run game generally, I guess, right now?
I think when you take Jaden Blue out of it, like he didn't play the other night, I think it's a different element because we know what he brings to the table. He's going to be the leading rusher. He's a dog and can flat out fly. I mean, the dude can carry the rock and take it to the house at any point in time. I love that kid. Love the way he runs the football. Love the way he catches the ball out of the backfield. That's another thing that, we did well against Michigan was catch the ball out of the backfield by the running backs. Maybe that wasn't a point of emphasis the other night. But then also, Bobby, to answer your question more specifically regarding Bond or Golden, the bubbles, the hitches, things like that. We hit the bubble for a big, a modest play early in the game, and then we came back later and hit it for a big one, 75 yards, I believe, and took it to the house. So whenever you can spread, it's what you're talking about in the spread offense. When you can spread the defense, you got a better opportunity to run the ball. When you can spread them horizontally and you can spread them vertically, then you got a really, really solid chance of running the ball. So what we're doing, we know Sark likes to throw it deep. So we're going to spread them vertically, 3 or 4 times a game at least, but then spreading them horizontally with the bubbles, the hitches, things like that, and then be able to combine that to get the running game going up inside. So I think he's just trying to use all 53 1/3 yards from sideline to sideline and all 100 yards north and south. I think that's what he's trying to do. And then, get this running game going, get these linemen confident, figure out what we're good at. Is it the inside zone? Is it the outside zone? Is it the gap schemes? We got to figure out where we are because we've got to create a little bit more consistency, a little bit more push in order to dominate the run game before we get in SEC play, because there's some teams coming that can flat out run the ball.
Bob, what about you? What do you think?
I thought going into the game, it kind of played out like I thought it was going to play out. You don't want to get another running back hurt, and so what do? You put the ball in the hands of your receivers, and it's the old Mike Leach thing, a little swing pass. It's a run. It's just a run. It's a very safe, high percentage pass. You're just letting somebody else touch the ball, and you got receivers out there blocking instead of linemen, and it's just an extension of a run is all it is. But in fact, we even have a running play on the first drive? I don't even think 11, 12 plays in a row.
Yeah,
were passes, and so I think you start talking about the playmakers that we have on offense, and we are obviously leaning on our receivers, but you start talking about DeAndre Moore and Matthew Golden, Jonte Cook, Ryan Wingo, Isaiah Bond. Those are incredible. I don't know that I've seen anybody on the field who looks quicker and is more electric to me than Silas Bolden. For the first time, I really got to see what that guy can do. I mean, the old adage, you can't touch him in a phone booth. That's unbelievable. I mean, any other year prior to Sark being here, if you've got a guy like Silas Bolden on your team, he sticks out like a sore thumb. He's fighting for playing time. And any other year, he's the guy. He's almost an Eric Metcalf type guy. I mean, he is so smooth, so fast. It's going to be fun to see what he winds up running if he can beat Xavier's record, because he reminds me a lot of Xavier. He's got quick acceleration, quick feet, and we don't even talk about him.
Yeah.
You rarely even talk about him, but he is very exciting.
I thought it was funny that you just mentioned Mike Leach, and I'll tell you why. It's like, long handoffs like Mike Leach. I think Mike Leach is probably smiling from up north right now. And the reason why is because not only is he probably right about those long handoffs out to the Wes Welker or Danny Amendolas of the world, he's also right about the playoffs. going to that, because he was an early proponent of that too. So good discussion there. Bryan, what about the Texas defense against the run? You had a stat that you pulled out that you thought might be for a little bit of cause for concern, or at least, if not concern, at least reason for pause right now. What was that stat you want to talk about with the Texas run D?
I think there were two of them for the other night. And again, it first reared its head against Colorado State. I thought there was a little bit too much room in there against Colorado State. Then we come back, play solid against Michigan, and then against UTSA. There was some runs in there. There were some gaps in there. A lot of room, and one of them was they had four backs that rushed for, had a carry of 9 yards or more. Four different backs had a single run of 9 yards or more, and that a 9-yard run at that level is a big run. There's not that many of them throughout the course of the game. And then you got a guy that's got a 12-yard run, and then you got the guy that's got the 53-yard run. Okay, wait a minute. You got a couple with 9-yard runs. You got one with a 12-yard run. You got one with a 53-yard run. It's a little bit concerning from that standpoint. So the other stat I pulled out was their total stats. They were 39 for 128, which is what was in the box score. But you take out the quarterback's 7 rushes, whether they were sacks or what have you, for -8 yards. I did this stat. So I took off the 7 rushes from 39 to 32, up the rushing from 128 to 136 because he had -8 yards rushing on 7 carries. That comes out to a 4.25 average at 32 for 136. 4.25 yard average by just handing the ball to the running backs. That's too much. That's too much for a championship defense. And so, then I turn on the game, watch Kentucky. They're running the ball violently. I mean, violently. Georgia does the same thing. There's going to be another handful of teams in the SEC. So we don't want to get in a situation where we struggle against the run a little bit. Somebody's able to play keep away and limits us to a 6 or 7 possession game. Now we're in trouble. If we can only possess the ball 6, 7, 8 times, that's going to be an issue. So not a reason for panic, but there is some concern on my part of the amount of space that I've seen the opponent's run game have against us, the yards per carry, and the number of explosives or close to explosives that they've had.
Bob, I'm going to ask you about this, and also Bryan, you too. And did you have anything you want to add on the Texas run defense, Bob, before I move forward on the next topic?
Yeah, well, no, not really. I think I know that we had some of our subs in the game, in the second half, and I know that UTSA was, just trying to run the clock out. But once Bryan kind of puts it into those terms, maybe it is something I didn't realize that. I think a lot of us probably didn't, because it wasn't just a dominant rushing performance, but it was UTSA. You don't give up that kind of yards to UTSA. And
Bob, let me
it's certainly.
You got to remember, Colorado State rushed for over 100. They had a back with over 100 yards. Colorado State did. They had a back that rushed for over 100 yards against the University of Texas. I'm not pushing the panic button, but it's cause for concern a little bit.
I think it's a little bit of the defense they may be playing. They're giving some different looks on different downs right now that I don't know that people know what's coming at them right now. They're only 3 weeks into this new defense that they're kind of playing different multiple looks. And I know coaches think they can prepare for it, but they spent all off season probably looking at Texas and what Pete Kwiatkowski's been doing for, a decade or 2 decades and planning for Texas to have that defense, not one that's maybe more multiple. I mean, they're playing some 3 high safety. They're doing a bunch of different looks. So I wonder if that's part of it. At the same time, that defense held UTSA on Saturday night to 2 of 17 on third down conversions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you think that's winning defense. At the same time, they're going to be, you got to give and take a little bit on defense. We all know that. And maybe Bryan's onto something a little bit there about what they're giving at times, unfortunately.
But I think you also look at the fact that if you go back and look at our history through the first 3 games of the season, giving up 6.3 points a game has us ranked as just early, only 3 games, although one of them was against the defending national champions, puts us as a defense that could be one of the best in school history.
Well, I tell you, it's the best since 1983 from a starting perspective. Only 19 points through 3 games. So it's really strong in that regard. All right, I want to ask you guys this question because this deals with the old Nick Saban rat poison. Texas comes out and is ranked number 1 in the country on Sunday by the AP poll. Georgia, after they had a tough go of it with Kentucky, even though it was on the road at Kentucky, I believe, right? Was it?
It was at Kentucky.
Yeah. Okay. They get dinged a little bit. What do y'all think about the rat poison, I guess, that Texas and Steve Sarkisian, the whole team has to deal with now? Y'all are coaches. Y'all been ranked really high before. How do you keep players?
It's legitimate. It's very, very, very tough for coaches to do it, especially in these days and time when you add in the NIL and transfer portal and playing time, and there's already guys probably on the Texas team that, hey, this is not going good or this is not going right, and I'm already contemplating my future for next year. It's happening for a handful of guys, not many, but the internet, the girlfriends, the mom and the dad. It's from A to Z what the coach has to deal with because he gets to have his message, 50% of the time because he's in front of the guys and he gets his message across, but then the message gets destroyed as soon as they talk to mom and dad, as soon as they talk to the girlfriend, as soon as they jump on the internet, as soon as they jump on Instagram, as soon as they jump on Twitter, as soon as they look at ESPN and try to figure out who's going to win the Heisman. And it's very, very difficult because the rat poison is there. And but I still say we're in great shape because our coaches are in position to really, really coach our guys hard. Now, Bobby, Coach Shipley will tell you, you can coach their butts off because these kids are not going to question one thing these coaches say. They're coaching their tails off. They're coaching them hard. They're coaching them like we lost last Saturday. They're coaching them like we're ranked 100th in the country. And that's what's beautiful about it because that's what's going to help keep them grounded. That's what's going to help keep them down to earth. And like we always used to say, when your team's high, when they're feeling good, when they're ranked number 1, they're ranked number 5, whatever it is, that's when you can beat them down a little. You can hammer on them a little bit. You can grind them. You can push them hard in practice. You coach specifics, not results in practice. We're not, you may have a great result. That's not what's important. I'm coaching specifics. This is what I want. You may have had a great result from what just happened, but that's not the way we want to play this. That's not the technique we want to use. You're coaching every single fine detail. And I think that's what they're doing. And when I talked about the run game a while ago, that's pretty much all I'm doing. Instead of from a fan standpoint, from a coach's perspective, I'm kicking the tires. where I'm kicking the tires on this thing and saying where there might be a chink in the armor. So just we're coaching them hard. We've got a standard. We're number one in the country now. We're playing good football. We're going to coach your tail off.
I think that's kind of how, frankly, Nick Saban did it, right? I mean, he literally had their attention because they were always in the top 5. And they knew he wasn't doing it wrong when he was coaching them hard, right? Coach Shipley, what do you think about that?
Well, Saban also would be, he would throw his guys under the bus sometimes and say, we won, but we weren't playing against a very good team. And if we play like that, we're going to get our tails kicked. I mean, he was a great psychologist, coach, I'm sure. But there's an old saying that we use, coaches use a lot, and that's practice like you've never won and play like you've never lost, and so it's just that grinding. And, we were talking on our pre-show meeting, the fact that just because you have that steer head on your helmet, you've already got a target. Everybody has you circled every season. Doesn't matter if it's a good season or bad season. You're the one everybody wants to beat. You just put the number 1 ranking on it. It takes it to another level. Everybody wants to knock off number 1, but you turn the volume down on all that outside noise. Girlfriends, mom, dad, all that stuff, media, you turn the volume down on that and you turn the volume up in that locker room, what you're hearing and what your coaches are saying. And you cannot take the bait. You cannot. I mean, we have a chance to do something incredibly special. And that's what I would keep emphasizing. And I know they are. There's no way we can have the season that we want to have if we let up one game. So I want cats that are going to play the hardest they can play on first down, fourth down, 4th and 1 mentality, just sense of urgency. You just got to have that hunger, that dog in you. That's just, I'm trained to do this. This is what I do. I'm basically a professional athlete now. You're paid to go out there and play your best every single game. And I think Sark has a pretty good handle on it. Seems to me. I thought maybe his first year we took some things for granted. I think we went into Arkansas and didn't realize what kind of environment we were going into. That's a hostile environment. I don't care what the record is. It's just like going in Texas OU game. It doesn't matter what the record is. None of that stuff matters. And as we know, Georgia already found that out. Notre Dame has found that out. I mean, you cannot let up a second. And I don't think he's going to take his foot off the gas. Coaching these kids hard, exactly like Bryan said. He hit the nail right on the head.
All right. I got one last thing for you guys. Y'all are both offensive coaches. I know that from following y'all in your high school days, coaching up the guys. But 2 plays that kind of stood out to me that made me stand up in my chair is not the right word, but that got me excited. The 4th down stop where Ja'Day Barron really shot in there and played bigger than he is. And the other 4th down stop where Anthony Smith looked like he was shot out of a cannon. What were those? I mean, those are exciting defensive plays to me. What did you take? Did you guys get a charge out of those 2 or not?
Yeah, I really did, especially the first one, Bobby. Even on 3rd down, we had a great 3rd down stop, for no yards, maybe even loss of a half a yard. And then on 4th down, when Ja'Day Barron made that play, my gosh, that was a great defensive effort. Be able to turn the ball back inside, force that thing, but at the same time compress space. He could have given his body up, turned the ball back inside, but he didn't give up and create any space at all. He compressed it down. The rest of the defense was able to fit from inside out, and that was a fantastic 4th down play and a great effort on Ja'Day Barron's part.
It really breeds confidence into the scheme, into the players, now. Granted, it was UTSA. But I think I might have pulled my external oblique jumping out of the recliner when Ja'Day Barron made that play. I mean, it's fun. It's really fun when you can play complementary football like that, and that's what we're doing. If mess up, got a hurt thumb, whatever, makes a bad pass, interception, the defense has you back, and you go out there and make the stop, get us the ball back, and it's really fun when you're playing complementary football.
I think it's fun for you coaches when you see well-coached football. and then players executing against that.
Ethan Burke's interception. I mean, Bryan, you saw the same thing I did, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, as soon as they read screen, they stopped and stuck a foot in the ground. And I mean, they so well prepared. Well prepared. That's every lineman's dream. But it's because they've been so well coached, and they're playing with their pants on fire. And that kind of stuff just breeds more confidence and we can do things we never even thought we could do. I mean, we got guys, defensive linemen, intercepting passes and scoring touchdowns. I mean, that's exciting to me.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this afternoon's lunch with the coach. We appreciate you guys. We also appreciate our sponsor, Laura Baker, over at Keller Williams Realty. No bigger Longhorn than Laura Baker, lifetime Longhorn, lifetime Austinite as well. She knows the Austin real estate market as well as or better than anyone. 512-784-0505. That's 512-784-0505. Laura, Andy Allen team. All right, guys, until next week, that's going to be Lunch with the Coach. Thanks, Bryan. Thanks, Coach Shipley. You guys have a good one, and hook 'em horns.
Thanks, Bobby. Hook 'em.